Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai. All over the world, people are agitating for freedom, equality, and social justices. From politics, government and governance, trado-religious and ethno-tribal perceptions, and even mindsets. It is in this light that Television Nigerian would focus on the Benue South people of Benue State and their agitation to produce the first Benue governor come 2023, and that would be 47 years after the creation of the state. So welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigerian. I am Daniel Atai. We take a short break, after which I shall introduce the glamorous event that took place for you, for your watching and listening pleasure. Don't go away. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Let's take a few minutes to watch and listen to the report as the national coordinator of the movement for the actualization of Benue South Governor for Benue State come 2023, Air Vice Marshal Monday Morgan, and the former Minister of State for Niger Delta, Dr. Samode MNI, also the Senator representing Zone C, which is Benue South people, distinguished Comrade Abba Moro, positioned for the mission, vision, and goal of the movement. Stay tuned. The national coordinator of the Benue Rebirth movement, Air Vice Marshal Monday Morgan, retired, advised the Benue South people to wave off the slave mentality bestowed on them in the state by the long period of non-participation in leadership decision of the state, and dare to negotiate for the seat of governor in order to contribute their wealth of economic, human, and infrastructural development to the state.
The mention of Otukpo invokes a lot of historical memories as being the town and the division of political cohesion with many facts in infrastructure right from the colonial days to the close of the 70s. Our gathering here today should not lose sight of that and should be able to reflect on that first for a new era of claiming the lost glory. This requires a fresh level of mobilization in which we can collectively stand tall to take very bold and assured steps. But this also requires commitment and the ability to shed off some primordial sentiments which may hinder the desired outcomes. In the last 4 decades, Benue South Senatorial Zone, otherwise called Zone C, has been left in the lurch as to the attainment of the commanding heights of the political and economic domains of Benue State, and this requires reversal if we are to get out of perpetual lamentations.
Former Minister of State for Niger Delta, Dr. Samode MNI, said Benue State must learn from the FG zoning understanding between the North and the South that always considers the South taking turns of the presidential seat. He advised that all political parties in Benue State, especially the major ones, should cede their ticket to candidates from the Benue South extraction come 2023.
It is important that the leaders of our political parties, especially the major political parties, should be able to canvass the understanding of the political leaders in their respective political parties to concede the Gilbert ticket to Benue South Senatorial District.
Meanwhile, the distinguished senator representing the Benue South people, Senator Abba Moro, said the fight is against a mindset but must be done on persuasion and humility for a political equilibrium.
We are fighting against a mindset You will certainly meet obstacles. You will certainly be confronted with a lot of limitations. In spite of the provocation that we have undergone for a long time, we must at this material time learning from the mistakes of the past and able to be humble in our request to be supported to produce the next governor.
And it shouldn't be just a unity, it should be unity of purpose. Because some of our leaders, if they lose from APC, they will divert to the people. If they lose from PDP, they will divert to APC. It don't matter our elders and our children. I'm telling you today. If only we come together, your work will be great. And our unity will be good.
Welcome back. Some key personalities of the movement, as interviewed by Television Nigerian concerning the agitation, they have this to say.
The people of Benue South Senatorial Zone have actually woken up to the realization that for Benue to reach its end in terms of development, it requires an inclusive governance. That for the past 44 years, the Idoma people have been excluded from the prime position in terms of captainship of the rulership of Benue State. And no matter how you look at it, every segment of ethnic nationality brings along with it some native intelligence that creates recreative and refreshing approaches to development. The exclusion of Benue South Senatorial Zone from the governorship position in the last 4 decades tells greatly upon the direction of political development and economic development in the state. And we have found it clearly that until we have that inclusion, it will not be complete for Benue to move to catch up with other states in terms of development. That is the genesis of this coalition of platforms called the BRM, agitating for power shift to Benue South Senatorial Zone. Governorship, you know, every other arm is relevant to government, is relevant to development, is relevant to assuring people that they are part and parcel of the stateship. But the prime position of the governor of a state determines a lot of things. And given the nature of politics in Nigeria, almost everything revolves around the executive governor of a state. And if you have failure, it sits on his desk that he is responsible. If you have credit, he also takes that as being responsible for that. But so far, the balance sheet has not given us the type of thought pattern to accommodate that we have had a good political outing in Benue. And that is largely because of exclusion of the Idoma nation from the rulership of Benue State.
From some perception, we learned that the Thief nation are kind of afraid of ceding power to the Idoma people of Benue South. Power is transient and this governorship seat is just 8 years. Do you think that the Idoma will want to hack the power as the fear of the Thief people and the suspicion is right now?
Let me tell you the truth. People hardly relinquish power. It's like economic strength. When you hold it, it accords you a lot of things. And for somebody to come around and say he wants to sit on that seat, even if you are willing, you will still create some resistance. And I think that is what's happening in Benue.
We are talking to our brothers in zones A and B of Benue State. And what is happening principally is that we are persuading, we are convincing, we are appealing, and we are requesting. Because politics is a game of number. You cannot blame anybody for being many. So it is not a birthright. That in good spirit and in the spirit of brotherhood, our brothers in zones A and B, that is the 2 senatorial districts, can concede the governorship seat to zone C, which is the 3rd senatorial district in the state, come 2023. Our request And what should actually happen, and we hope it will happen, is that there is power rotation between the 3 senatorial districts of any given state, and in this particular case of Benue State, so that each senatorial district has a chance of being the leader of the state at any given time.
What do you think that the Idoma people will do differently from what the past governors, the chief governors, have done so far in the state?
Well, for me, it does not really matter whether the person comes from Zone C, comes from Zone A, comes from Zone B. Things have to be done differently. That is basic. Things have to be done differently. We've been doing things the same way, and the state has not moved forward. We need to do things radically different. We have to have a government that is focused on people of Benue State. This is a state that is purely agrarian. Most of the people here are farmers. There is no industry here established by the Benue State government or by the federal government or by business people in the state. So we must recognize that. And there's a lot of poverty in this land. The people of Benue State need to be empowered. The government of Benue State need to be people-oriented. The government of Benue State needs to go to the grassroots and help those who cannot help themselves. More importantly, the government of Benue State should be women-oriented, youth-oriented. These are the people that hold the key to a breakthrough of a change in Benue State.
This is an idea whose time I believe has come. And from what I feel, there is no doubt in my mind that political parties, be it party A, B, C, or D, will also be reasoning within their mind and believe that truly this is an idea whose time has come for Zone C to produce the executive governor of Benue State. Politics is generally defined as a game of number. We all do know that. But if you look at the proper definition of politics, politics is about the greater number of people doing good around activities bordering on good governance of themselves. So today I believe that the good people of Benue, definitely come 2023, we want to do good around activities bordering on governance of Benue State. And there is no better good to do at such a time than conceding the governorship of Benue State to the Zone C extraction. Politics, democracy generally, is also defined as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And by every iota of that definition, the Zone C people of Benue State belong to the people. And I believe our people in Zones A and B will be persuaded at the end of the day to include all of the people in the governance of our dear state.
No, the question of two people will never take it back again does not arise. Power is transient. You know, it moves from one group to the other. What we're saying is that Zone A has held it twice, Zone B has held it twice, so it should be turn of Zone C under the rule of justice, equity, and natural this thing. We are asking for, even if it's just one term, for the Idoma person to be governor. And let's try the Idoma person and see. We want to also contribute to the development of this state in our capacity as Zone C Senatorial District. And if this is, for us, we just consider that this is the time. This is just the time.
The BRM, Benue Rebirth Movement, is all about agitation of Benue South Senatorial District, popularly known as Zone C, that came about under one umbrella, Benue Rebirth Movement, BRM, on the 16th June 2020 with a view to speaking together so that by 2023, Zone C, which is part and parcel of Benue State, will be able to produce someone, either a man or a woman, to become the governor of Benue State 2023. Because since the creation of Benue State in 1976, Benue South Senatorial District, popularly known as Zone C, has never had a governor of Benue State from the Idoma extraction. And that is the reason why every agitating group came under the name or the banner of BRM to ensure that they pull every resources together, be it energy, financial, morally, physically, and otherwise, so that Zone C will be able to produce somebody as governor of Benue State in 2023.
The two major political parties are hugely represented in the Benue South. We have the APC, fully represented, had a deputy gubernatorial candidate in the person of Barrister Samode, the former Minister of State for Niger Delta. And in the PDP, at least, the name that rings the bell under the PDP is one of their founding fathers, somebody like Aldogbe, and the former Senate President, Senator David Mark. So when you talk about party, the Zone C are a politically conscious but very, very loyal people who have over the period tried to play politics on the basis of not just party, on personality. I can tell you that in the last general election, Zone C produced a representative at the federal legislature in the person of Blessing Onu under ABGA. That is the sagacity of the involvement of the Zone C in political participations. Loyal. We gave our total support to PDP for several years. We gave our total support to NRC. We gave our total support to APC at different levels. Okay? So we are politically active, and we have produced a lot of political juggernauts in the system. If you have a Senate President for 8 years, who have piloted the affair of this country at a time when the country finds itself in a coma, political coma per se, a quagmire. He came up with the doctrine of necessity. It shows that there's a measure of capacity within these people. When you have an Aldogbe who was practically forced being the chairman of the party on the basis of principle, just because he wants some ideal of democratic setting to setting. I can stand to say that if those ideas were promoted at that time, the PDP probably may still be holding on to power. Having said that, I can say categorically that the Zone C people are politically, though homogeneous in nature, but tends to also support a candidate that have certain qualities of proper representation.
We appreciate that this time has come, and it has come with the grace of God. And that's why the agitation is so high that the Idoma nation is speaking with one voice this time, that we should be given the chance to govern Benue. And we have been known nationally and internationally that we are people of integrity, and the integrity have to be applied in our governance. So we are seeking and appealing to our chief brothers that they should give us an opportunity to rule, to govern Benue State, and see the impact, the change that we can make in the governance of Benue State. That is why we are at this time coming together as brotherhood, pleading with our brothers that they should give us this time to make our impact, and they can, at the end of it all, make an assessment of whom the Zone C person or the Idoma person is.
Welcome back. We also took a little journey to the resident of the Air Vice Marshal, the national coordinator of the movement, to get an in-depth analysis or exclusive of this movement and the essence of the summit. Television Nigerian was there.
The summit essentially is to bring all the sons and daughters of Zone C to a round table for a unity of purpose. Intention, as we have said from time to time, is that for over 44 years since the creation of Benue State, no single individual from Zone C has ever superintended over the state as an administrator or governor. And I think we cannot just sit and watch this kind of situation continuously. Power is never given, power must be taken. Not in the military palace of coup, but hard and ferocious appeal to the power grabbers. So, what we're doing is that we have researched and found out that over time, each time the electionary years are coming close, the people of this zone, because they have a disadvantage of population against the Zone A and B, haven't been able to gather themselves together in a block to struggle to take the party's tickets. So what we're trying to do is that we are talking to our chief brothers that there are two major tribes in Benue State, the Idomas and the Chiefs. And in any constituent organization that has tribal affiliations, there is always a concern of marginalization. Because the moment one tribe keeps holding sway, it means the other people will think they are disenfranchised. And this is the reason why we say in come 2023 that the equation must change. And we want to try to midwife ourselves at home, put our homes in order to ensure that we go together as a one block voice.
Over time, it has been alleged or believed that the Zone C people, which is a Benue South extraction of the Idoma ethnic group, have been the problem of themselves, as in the problem of disunity, of not attaining the seat of governor of Benue State and not the team. Do you think that this summit would address that situation right now?
Yes. What happens is that the semblance of what we have created, the BRM, is what the TV people have been operating upon for a very long time. Close to 80 political contests. They always organize themselves in a neutral platform for all political parties to interact. And that interaction leads to a selection of a candidate to represent them with no infraction. In our case, what we have learned over time is that each politician, any ambitious governorship aspirant, had his own platform and was moving in different directions. So there were discordant voices and directions. So we, as the Benue Rebel movement, we have created this neutral platform, which is apolitical and non-partisan, but with the intention that a credible character of pedigree will be identified and supported once it gets a ticket of a party by all and sundry in Zone C.
Thank you very much. And on the issue of political party decision, you have dominant parties, the PDP and the APC. Do you think the factor of party disparity could jettison this agitation?
No, it will not. We are very hopeful that we're talking with the APC hierarchy, we are talking equally with the PDP hierarchy, and with the hope that our negotiation will come to the stage where the two people will say, look, we have held sway for too long, let's try somebody from Zone C. And in that situation, the party machineries will organize it in a way, democratically, that two candidates of Zone C will emerge.
The governor is the political leader of the state.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Governor Samuel Otom. And on the date you have this summit scheduled, we learned he advised his political appointees to attend the NSAS summit panel in Macaulay. Don't you see an infraction of disagreement with your agitation right
now? No. You see, Benue Rebel movement is a platform that has no affiliation to the government. The fact that the government is friendly to all of us does not mean that the government will be watching out for our programs and putting these programs such that it will not collide with our programs. We are independent. We were not even aware that he was organizing such. He wasn't aware such event was taking place in our zone. So it would be mischievous to imagine that the government deliberately put that date to forestall us. No, it is never. The governor is a friendly governor, and we, BRM, has met with him, and he has assured us that as long as God permits, and with his will, that he is not against the next governor from Zone C that will take over from him.
He said that?
Yeah, because as long as God allows him and he sees that the people want it, because he is the voice of the people, he has no reason why he will not endorse that.
Okay. His party, the PDP, gave the ticket of the party state chairman to Benue South, your zone. Don't you think that is a contradiction of the belief of zoning system in the PDP for gubernatorial seat?
I don't think so. There are exigencies that warrant certain changes. And I believe that the agitation, the BRM, had not met the government prior to their convocation or whatever, their Congress,
yes.
Their convention. So it is not likely that they were putting our agenda in their view while they were doing the Congress. And they had done that Congress before the BRM met with the government. So, and one other thing that you must understand is that these are politicians. They have a way of doing their mathematics and putting the chess from time to time. So at the right time, when the agitation becomes very lucid and the pressure is high, the machinery of power and a lot of things can be affected. The PDP chairman, who is also supportive of BRM, will likely resign his appointment and give way to another section so that the road will be clear for Zone C.
All right. Another issue that is there, this agitation is to produce governor from Benue South extraction. The fear of number that some of the politicians in your zone are having, we learned that some are already lobbying for the position of deputy governor.
No, they are politicians. They have they can think whatever, they have the right to do whatever. But then the collective decision of those C is that there is a no-no to deputy governor this time. Because as much as we like to appeal to Zone A and B, we are also very rigid on that decision that nobody from Zone C should seek for a second fiddle at this time.
Question, sir. I don't pray you fail, and I know you will succeed. But assuming the parties involved denies Zone C your alternative.
There are constitutional alternatives that are open to agitators. Zone C have said it, we will not go for the second fiddle. If for 4 decades, get into the 5th decade, a collective group of people who are partners with another group do not have the opportunity to lead. We have a strategy that when the road is clear for a candidate of Zone C extraction to be heading to Government House, the Benue Rebel movement will confront such candidate with developmental agenda. Okay. And he will put it in a blueprint and sign as a vow that he would deliver the dividends of democracy to the whole state. The world is now a global village. We cannot pretend that the world is not advancing. Benue State sits on top of a location that is endowed with natural resources and human resources. It's a pure agrarian environment. So most of the things that we are going to put to him, first of all, he must eradicate poverty. The subsistence agriculture that is being practiced by our rural people cannot help to elevate them from that level to a higher level. So we are going to encourage him to embark on mass agri-mechanization. And once that is done, we have the template of how the rural people will be galvanized to become powerful farmers whose product will not just only be exported, but consumed locally for opulence. Now, one other area is that youth restiveness that has created problems so much, security incidences in every part of Nigeria. Benue State, the governor must look at direction, and we are going to give him the scheme, the template on how to arrive at it. Because in any society
where social security is not available, there will be anarchy. In England, for example, a youth that is over 18 and has no job must be given unemployment benefit. Similarly, the elderly are given money to sustain their lives in old age. Okay? Now it is practicable in Benue State, because when we see the allocation that is coming in and how money that is generated from farming and the taxations that are coming will be able to direct such resources for youth empowerment and social security. Clearly, it can happen because it has happened in my time. In my time, when we finished secondary school, we were given, all local governments had the power, and you will be given a temporary job for the next 3 months waiting for your result to come. And when you get admission to higher schools, the state follows it with the bursary, which is an automatic scholarship for all indigents of the state. How much money was it? In our time, that was the last era of the military, when Obasanjo was the head of state. I finished secondary school in 1978, and he did that. And after that, even the civil government continued it in the era of Aparaku. Aparaku was the first governor, and he had wonderful infrastructural plans on ground. So if we, all governors, had followed those plans, by now, Benue could have been one of the richest states in Nigeria. Those are the kind of things that we are trying to direct our minds to. And secondly, Zone A and B should not be afraid of a Zone C governor, because he must work, and he's not going to develop only Zone C. He must develop all the zones, because he knows that in the state assembly, he will not have the required number to protect any nefarious activities of this executive. He can be impeached overnight if he does not work hard. So why are they afraid? Zone C, with the arrays of great technocrats that we have, can parade such that between the three of us, Zone A, B, and C, we can sit down to agree to pick one that will work for all of us together.
The summit tagged the first Idoma National Summit to negotiate and agitate for power shift in the capital city of the Idoma nation, Utukpo, precisely.
Well, that is all for today, and we hope that their agitation be successful for the development and the unity of the state. After all, political power position is transient, meaning at most it could be 8 years or 4 to 8 years, and it can rotate from there, from Zone C to Zone A to B and then to C again. Thanks for watching, and don't forget that Spectacle is open for sponsorship, as we could take your achievement, antecedents, intentions above the reach of media space for you. You can also call the telephone numbers displayed on your screen if you need our services. Follow us on our social media platforms and drop your comment. We'll take it up from there. Thanks for watching, and I've been Daniel Atai. Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai.
With the arrays of great technocrats that we have, can parade such that between the three of us, Zone A,